All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So today we will be looking at energy and oil, and really it seems like last week's video played out just as expected. So oil kind of slowed down, the back end energy stocks did pretty well, and today you can already see it on this candle. It was a pretty interesting day, right? So before we dive into the details, let's go over the basics, right? What are we going to do today? Same thing we always do. We're going to look at the daily and the weekly to see how things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself, and then when we're done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Again, 80% of the work is up here. This is that last 20% confirmation as needed. So, hey, really quickly, if you can please like and or subscribe, it does really well with the algorithms on YouTube and all that, but either way, like I sincerely appreciate your time, so thank you for being here. SCO, again, I always start here because this is the crude oil short. So if this does good, oil stocks will do bad. If this does bad, oil stocks will do good, right? So it's important to look here, right? Even if you have money in here or not. So that's at least why we're looking at it. So clearly what was happening, we were going horizontal in this cluster right here. Looked like it was going to break out, and clearly it ends up dropping pretty hard, right? It started to look like it was going to test the 8. It didn't happen as immediately, but it definitely did make the move, right? Again, I say it often, when you have two lines that are stacked so close together, it's difficult to break them, okay? It's real hard to get over one. All right, it's that much harder to get over 2 together, right? And then really it's that much harder to break a stack of 2 and then another stack of 2, right? And really I think that's kind of what happened here. So we try to break the 8, doesn't quite do it, and again we need a second day confirmation, right? So this clearly was not that good confirmation. This day was awesome because it does break this, right? That was actually the last attempt, and that's generally how I draw my lines, right? And it looked like it actually, yeah, it did. It got over this day as well. So I would say that this day would be expected. I thought this was a little bit violent a drop in all honesty, but hey, it is what it is, right? So we are definitely technically under both of these lines. We're still over the 8, which is good, but yeah, the question will be, are we going to bounce off the 8 and go back up for another attempt, or are we actually going to fall out of this, right? So all 5 are right here. It's kind of hard to make an assumption, right? Because again, I don't like horizontal clusters, right? You either end up flying or you drop, right? So I don't really know if we're still going to go a little more horizontal, or we're going to drop, or we're going to, you know what I mean? So I hate these. But again, if it gets right here, it'll probably go up. If it gets under that line, it'll probably go down, right? So just kind of keep all that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this line. I think I'm going to move it to right there. Roughly the bottom of that, the top of that, bottom and bottom, right? So I think this is a little bit more important, the line. Nothing substantial, but yeah, again, you lose this, you're probably coming to this. You lose this, you're going to go even lower, right? So, and then again, look, this is pretty tight. You can clearly see red was well under, red was well over green, right? We want green over red, but red is bad, green is good. But yeah, definitely was kind of easy to tell this using the MACD. Obviously RSI was and kind of still is way too tight to use, right? But clearly not as bad as it was right there, but getting back into that just a little too tight to really make anything out of it, right? Green is definitely on top. Green is definitely on top, but I think neither is significant enough to use these two. And then, I mean, that's bad volume, right? The last 3 days have been okay, but yeah, over the last 5, over the last 7, coming into 10, definitely a lot more selling, right? So it would have been good if today was another green, right? To give us 3 days, probably would have helped get over that. But all 3 of these kind of don't look good, so it seems like we might be coming down here. But again, anything can happen in that cluster. So a little more time than I wanted to spend on that, but really that's going to drive a lot of the conversations. And then we'll look at this on OXY as well. But look, if it breaks that 50, it'll go to the 100, okay? If it doesn't, well, I mean, it's going to go down. There's only 1 or 2 places this will go down or like violently up, right? So kind of keep that in mind with the oil stock. So like I said, OXY plays almost completely opposite of this thing normally, right? So again, this one's in a cluster of all five. I will say this thing's a little bit lower than I thought it would be, again, given the day that SCO had, right? You would think that such a violent day maybe would have brought it a little closer to the middle, right? So tomorrow I'm definitely expecting it to come up here, but look, definitely lost every single line. I would have loved to regain a couple more, but hey, I mean, you know, we took one, not quite over the 200. Yeah, we are still under the 200, but yeah, look, we need to climb a little closer to the top of this cluster, horizontal cluster, right? Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just going to the top, going to the bottom, going to the top, going to the bottom, and we're either going to go up and go, or really we're just going to kind of not go as high, and then, you know, we'll see what happens there, right? But yeah, I think I expected this to look a little stronger based on what SCO did just look like. Again, this is kind of the same story, right? If it loses the 50, it will drop violently. If it can get back over the 20, it should go back to this, you know, good, slow, consistent thing, right? Like OXY by no means is a meme or anything like that, right? You want smooth and steady. That's why Buffett bought this bad boy, right? So he does not want this red line to drop, because that'll go down here. And again, if that does, the SCO that we just looked at will be the place to put your money there. Okay, I'll be real honest. I am watching this like a hawk. I'm not gonna lie. I have my phone next to me because I don't even know what after hours looks like. You know, I normally don't do after hours. Okay, after hours can be a real easy way to like trick you. Okay, after hours are actually flat right now, so that's good. But yeah, this thing is on the cusp of a real big move, right? And it's all going to start with getting over that 8 moving average. So I'm going to make a couple alerts on this. Again, obviously an alert is not an indication of buy, right? But couple things jumping out, right? This 198 line has been pretty money for us, and it's really driven on this day, right? If you can break this line real quick on this one, it definitely didn't sustain, but that was enough for me to get in, and then eventually a stop loss got me a little less profit than I was hoping, right? But yeah, this is the trigger line right now for sure. I wish the 8 was under that line, because again, there's going to be another one that's a little more important in my opinion. We'll see where the line comes, right? But if we can get over the 8, that's going to be big. If we can get over this, that's going to be huge for sure, okay? So I'm going to put a line here, because we do need one right here. Oh, I just went a little too high. Again, I'm not looking for perfect. That's good enough right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put an alert, I think, on this guy, right? Because does that get me? Yeah, okay, so that's 204. Nope, I clicked the line accidentally. So let's put the alert at 205. I like that. Again, not an immediate buy notification, just to come check that thing out real quick. And then another important one is going to be at 213. I'm going to go ahead and put one at 213 as well. 213 is roughly 50% of this guy, right? So it'd be good to know if that happens. Theoretically, I'd like them to both hit, right? That could be a potential buy at the first one, average up at the second one, hope we run to the red line, right? Because again, hoping all of these bad boys fill. And then even behind that is another couple strings, right? So this is the only real green in that little section. And then this is the next real green in that section, right? So really, if I just kind of ignore that and just keep the line going, I mean, there's a serious downtrend to this 635, right? So again, it's a, and then look, this is where things would get bad for sure. You do not want to go under 171. If you go under 171, we'll see it on the weekly. That will take us back into all-time lows. I understand all this was back there. Just, I promise you, ignore that, okay? This is probably the only view that really matters right here. But you cannot go below 171 on CEI. But again, we are knocking on the door to a 635 target, a 640 target roughly, right? So and let's be honest, that's a nice little potential peak up. I like that. That's at least, look, it looked like it was flattening out. I don't necessarily know if it's kind of sloping back up yet or not, but hey, I'm kind of getting hopeful. And come on, let's get a couple. Let's get this right. Give me a good healthy increase in volume, and then a silly one maybe just to like let it run. I'd be okay with that, right? But I think tomorrow is going to be an important day, but really it's the day after. It's going to be Wednesday. That'll because we're still under the 8, right? So tomorrow hopefully gets us over the 8, and then that day after is that confirmation that actually might make it fly. So again, not quite there, but a lot of reasons. Again, I keep clicking right here, 640. Looks to be it. Obviously, this will be a little bit of noise, and I do think that this $3 will be a little bit of noise, and that was around 340, I think. Yeah, exactly, 340. So CEI, again, on the door. Real quick, this has been a horrible weekly, okay? There's been some moments where it's kind of done what we're doing now. Again, it looks hopeful. It looks like we're getting close to it, and then it says, no, I'm going to keep dropping a lot, right? Obviously, all that happened pre-split, so the penny just moved over, right? But yeah, we saw this thing literally go from dollars to cents in months, right? So just because it looks like it's going to get over the 8 and it got real close and it wicked it a couple times doesn't mean it's actually going to happen until it does, right? So I promise you, be a little patient. And look, that 229, the one that that's not the 50% candle. Didn't we draw one at 50? We made an alert. Okay, but the 229 top of this one is an important one on the weekly. Okay, so and again, this one really should be the one that starts the run, hopefully to here or here. So keep those in mind. All right, but CEI, it's on the cusp. But again, this thing has been on the cusp and not only failed, but burned, right? So please be careful, but believe me, my mouth is salivating as well as I look at that chart, right? So look, Indo, all right, this is not financial advice, you know that, but this was, good money right there, all right? Then I actually started getting a little bearish and it pretty much went horizontal, right? But again, it kind of looks like, look, if it could get over that 100, all right, we've tried to get over it right here, okay? We tried here, all right? This 100 line has been the bane of this thing's existence, okay? And yeah, if we can get over it, that the way it works is break it, go for it, right? So there would be a reason to believe that there would be an $8 target, and really 630 to 7 would be a pretty easy channel right there. And then again, if this breaks, that should be a pretty easy channel right there. You can almost lift it to that, right? So man, I'm going to be honest. I think what I'm going to do, let me just, because there's not that many lines I actually even need to adjust. I think we're good with these lines. Yeah, I'm not going to change any of these. So lines are still there. Look, RSI is low enough to where if we can break that, it'll give us a good run, okay? And look, we've seen a couple lows turn into some nice ones, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to set my alert 624, okay? If we can get to 624, right there, right? 622, 623. I'm okay with 624. That'll put us over those two lines, okay? So, and again, you know me. I want to be over more moving averages than I want to be either under or in between, right? So, we rode it once to there. I definitely gave up once it let go. If we can get over it, my ears will perk up, right? So weekly should look good. That actually looks like a pretty nice weekly chart. Yeah, right? So makes a good run, good break of both the lines. Not quite good confirmation, but yeah, I mean, this is a doji moment. I would agree with that. I think there's some uncertainty right now, and we're either going to go up pretty well or yeah, we're unfortunately going to go back down. So it makes sense that we're at doji, and look, we're roughly at 50% of this big boy right here, right? So like, this is the place to have the doji. Either we're going to give up most of this or we're going to pass it and go. So Indo, another one. My mouth, it's hungry for the trade, but you got to wait, right? You really cannot underestimate the power of any of these lines. I know sometimes they're literally a penny away, but ooh, that last penny, man, it like laughs at you as it never crosses. You know what I mean? And you just don't take any offense to it. You smile and move on. Man, this does not look good. Excuse me, on IMPP. Interesting. Again, if you watch my videos, I normally put those two together on a pedestal, and I like to pick between the better one. Okay, like, look, I love my parents. They gave me a lot of love, but unfortunately, they didn't give me like infinite money, right? So I have limited funds. I gotta do my best to, put every single dollar this is war, right? And I'm not trying to lose dollars. I'm actually trying to recruit more dollars to come into my account, right? So I literally look at the two, INDO and IMPP. I like to say, okay, which one looks better, and let's pick and go. Okay, so I literally have zero interest in either's fundamentals. I don't know anything about. They are literally two sets of 4-letter strings, and whichever line is better works for me, right? And right now, this one looks really bad. Same doji, same indecision doji, but that's not where I want a doji. We're literally under, excuse me, every single line right now. That uncertainty is kind of asking, hey, are we really about to go back into all-time lows and go deeper into it? And I'll be honest, that's an ugly RSI. That MACD is definitely looking like it wants to go under the red line and is getting really tired. It's actually in the negative. And I mean a whole mess of more of selling than buying. And that was kind of the difference over here, right? There's a lot more greens, and that's quickly not becoming the reality anymore. So this is a really scary doji. This is literally asking, hey, are we going to go back up into these, and kind of try to work our way back up? Or are we giving up? I'm going to go to the weekly. Are we going to lose this line? And are we going to go all the way down? You know what I mean? And oh man, I'm telling you, the last place you want your money is at all-time lows. If this thing goes below 24 cents, it's going to get ugly. All right. And oh man, knock on some wood right there. Okay. So be careful for sure. But there's definitely a lot of reason to be concerned, and there's definitely more optimism in Indo for sure too. So HUSA. Okay. Oh man, here's another. Okay. First and foremost, okay, I've literally, I can't stop laughing every time I look at it. This thing has been going horizontal from July to more than into February, okay? It looks like it's losing all the moving averages, and I mean, we've seen this story a couple times, right? This definitely doesn't look that good, but I keep saying it. I feel like, and you can see it with the 50 moving average volume just keeps dropping. People are just not interested in this one anymore. So just once something happens, it'll be pretty extreme, but again, it just really seems like it's doing nothing more than horizontal. Something like this might happen. Okay, and it'll happen if it breaks that line and it'll go up, or it'll happen if it loses this one and it'll go violently down. That's really for sure. But again, all 5 lines are right here, and it got to the top, got to the bottom. Question will be, is it going to get back to the top? Is it going to get over these, right? I can actually see it just going this high and then coming back down, right? There's a couple ways it can play out, but we are technically under all, and that is not good. Again, the weekly just screams from July till today, horizontal. We are not here to put our money horizontally, okay? We're here to make money and have it go up, or hey, get out before it goes down, call it a quick bad loss, and move on and learn, right? So horizontal trading is not good trading by any means, shape, or form. NBR, again, beautiful ride of the 8 right there. Started to drop really quickly because, again, this one's definitely on the oil side. SCO was starting to look good, so that drop makes sense. And then, like magic, right, it doesn't even need the 20. It definitely gets its way back up into the 8, right? So this is a pretty important resistance line, I would say, because really neither of those was a good break in confirmation. This was definitely only a 1 day, and then again, this so far is only a 1 day. So let's see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, this thing is riding the 8 pretty well. It's definitely above all the moving averages, and again, I say it, right, it's literally the best this is what HUSA wants to do, right? This is what INDO wants to do, right? This is what IMPP literally needs to jump back into, like literally at this point, right? You either need to jump back into all the lines or, but yeah, you break all five and yeah, you're going to go from 160 to 180 relatively easily. You're just going to follow the green line, right? So it's a beautiful thing, I'm telling you, but yeah, nice weekly chart. Not too much to really say right there. It's over all the lines too. So, yeah. Again, same basic story, right? I think right here, whereas, it hasn't even formed yet. But yeah, this thing's been over all the moving averages for a while. Once it loses the 8, it starts to get a little worrisome, right? And that's actually a little bit worse of a RSI MACD combo, I think, that we've seen on any of them. So a little bit interesting there. But yeah, all eyes really should be on this $11 range, right? Like, will that 20, it's 1102, but yeah, let's just round it. Are we going to bounce here, or are we potentially dropping to like this 10.50 or $10 range down there, right? But good write up, plenty of profit to have been made. And again, this one's a relatively new stock, right? So if you break that line, you're flying into all-time highs, right? So again, there's not too much resistance. That green might make for an easy red, but again, these two reds might quickly turn into greens, and then if we break that, it's over, right? So I'm definitely more than interested in knowing when we cross over that, and I'm actually going to put another one not too far from it. I'll probably put it at like 10, I think, because it's at 1201, right? So because again, all-time highs is where you want your money, not all-time lows. But yeah, DO, right? Just 8 moving average doing its job. That's pretty much the story there. UEC, okay, so it's funny. We raised this line to 423 because of this moment. It actually used to be at 420. And I mean, I think 420 might have faked out a lot, because there was actually only one wick hit. Did this one hit at 4? It would have hit at 420. You can see the high right there is at 420. This one doesn't look like it got as high. No, it got to 418. But again, I'm actually glad I did move this thing up to 423. So again, I keep saying it, set a higher criteria and you should be able to save your money, right? But this thing is on the cusp of doing well. There's another uranium stock. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I mean, maybe I will, but UROY. So UROY is looking like it's making a nicer break of that 200, okay? Today definitely started up here. It definitely looked like it wanted to like gap up and run. Definitely came here, but look, it actually, and this is why it's red but outlined, it closed at the exact same penny. So it technically was a 0 day as you see it, right? Some people lost money. Someone bought it up here and then it closed down here. But day to day, it actually was a decent line. So tomorrow, I'm a little curious to see if we can get a couple pennies higher. Get me a couple pennies higher, and yeah, you, Roy. You Roy could be my Roy if that thing does good things. Because again, break the last moving average and run is a beautiful thing. There's basically a peak right there. There's a peak right. Let's just draw a couple lines. We're doing an analysis already on this thing, right? And look how quick it is to do an analysis on a new stock, right? So once you get good at this, I'm telling you, it doesn't take that long to like make your moves, right? Oh man, look at that. That's actually where this big one wicked. Interesting, beautiful. I like it. I think those are the only 2 lines we need, because then, I mean, we're gonna start running, man. Psh, woo! UROY. All right, UROY might be coming on the list, but back to USC, or UEC. Sorry, USC. I'm from LA, right? Again, get me over that line. And I think I'll be a little more interested. This is definitely a good place to be, don't get me wrong, but we've actually been here for a minute. So I'm not as excited as I was when it was here, right? So I still need a little more, oops, I right-clicked. I still need a little more proven. And honestly, I don't know why the RSI is looking like this, right? So give me a little better MACD RSI volume thing. And one more time, we've been over this 200 before, but get me over this line. And then I think the conversation might get a little interesting. So just throwing that out there. GEVO. GEVO. Okay, look, just as I expected, right? That 100 was no joke, okay? If we can get over the 100, been a good while, right? So I would be more than interested. Go ahead and set that alert for 217, actually. Get me a little closer to that because obviously 216 is that line too. But hey, we are over the 8. We were able to use the 20 as a bounce point. I love it. That's moving average theory right there, right? Good, easy move over the 8. Little scary, but right back up. Little scary, but right back up, right? And look, again, all eyes on that 100. Break the 100 and we'll see what happens. That's definitely a low enough RSI to make a good move. MACD's definitely in the positive, both. Oh no, they're not both green over red. But again, tomorrow might make that happen. Kind of a mixed bag of buying and selling, actually. So again, that's what horizontal trading really looks like, right? So GEVO, not too bad. And yeah, that. Ooh, are we over the 20 right now? Again, it's still super early, obviously, but I love it. Get me a little higher, get me a little closer to the 215 that this one closed at, and that'd be even nicer. But hey, GEVO, nice weekly chart for sure, going with a daily that's close to an interesting test. So GEVO, I like it. Okay, AMLI. Again, this is still relatively early. It still has not been 20 days of trading, so we do not have that orange line just yet. But look, a couple things right off the bat. We're definitely over the 8 moving average still. That's good. Rule number 1 is definitely be over the 8 moving average, right? Again, there's not too many things we can really use, but let's just go ahead and make a couple, let's just kind of follow the trend, right? So that's an uptrend. This definitely loses it, okay? And then this clearly goes like this. So I'm going to do this. Then it goes like this, right? And then this one loses it, and now we're going kind of horizontal, right? We're actually under this one right here, right? Because I went the corner of this line, corner of this line. As I brought it out, we have closed under that. Okay, that has me a little worried that we might be coming to the 8 right here. Okay, and if you look, the last couple days have been a good amount of selling. Today was a decent day in NASDAQ, and this actually didn't do that well, so that had me a little curious. But tomorrow we actually really need to get back over this line. You know what I mean? Give me another green day. Because look, the reason I also didn't make that right there is just that's not a candle by any means, right? Even that's a little iffy, right? But yeah, this line going from this corner to this corner, extended out, is definitely broken. So tomorrow needs to get back over, or I'm a little worried we're going down, right? And again, there's still no MACD, still no RSI, and I mean volumes, we're just kind of looking at it, right? So just kind of keep all that in mind, right? There's not a lot of info, so you really got to squeeze the lemon as much as you can, right? Weekly, it has not been 8 weeks, so obviously we do not even have a green line, and there's very little here, right? So there's not much I can really draw. But again, I think that was a good story for AMLI, which is American Lithium. The next one that I'm going to add is LAC, Lithium Americas, okay? And today was a monster day. All right, today broke this 2-line cluster. Today got us over all 5 moving averages. Today got us a golden cross right there with the 8 crossing up over the 50. Today had monster volume, okay? We went from 2 million to 14 million. We 7x'd our normal volume. And just zooming out, the last time we were anywhere near this was, back in April, okay? And you can see from there, volume definitely dropped, and then, it never really did its thing. But this is a really big marker for tomorrow, okay? I mean, at the very minimum, 10 million volume needs to happen tomorrow. There's actually real news here too. I think I saw that they partnered with GE, if I'm not mistaken. If you actually know what the news is, throw it in the comments. That would be much appreciated. But this was not some pretend 14% day. This was definitely a for a reason day. A lot of volume, makes a nice RSI, makes a nice MACD continuation, but definitely a little high right there, right? So what would I expect? Look, maybe we get another day then hopefully we kind of, not hopefully, but then, you know, I would expect us to kind of come back down and bounce off one of those, right? I think the weekly, yeah, the weekly still looks really good. And honestly, the weekly's kind of saying if you break this 2550, you might actually even just continue running, right? So I'm going to bring this a little closer to 55. Let me know what happens over that. But yeah, it's a really interesting point, right? The RSI is a little high, definitely good reason. And I mean, look, there's how do I man, there isn't. Let me draw. I'm gonna because we just drew it on the last. Man, I even said that I didn't want to make a long video, and we're already at the 30-minute mark. So no, I'm not gonna use that. Escape. Up. Not the escape I wanted. Okay. Yeah, we're still well below that downtrend, okay? It looks like we've broken that one. So again, I'm kind of zoomed in pretty hard, but yeah, damn. Let's redraw it. Okay, last time I do this. So from here to here, still hasn't broken. And you can see we actually wicked it. From here to here, actually just broke today. Right, so I think that's ultimately, and look, I think that's roughly around, no, that's going to be a little higher than that 2550, but yeah, I mean, look, if we can get over this big line right here, that's going to be huge. There's actually reasons to believe it could go monstrous, right? I could see this maybe stopping it, but this could be an easy trade right here in between those two, and roughly speaking, that number is 2732. It's actually the top of that line. I'll go ahead and draw that right here for us. Cool. Otherwise, yeah, we're pretty much battling these lines right here. But yeah, monstrous day on what looks like good reason with a beautiful weekly chart right after it. So a lot of nice sentences for a ticker. Again, we've seen this on a couple stocks, right? That 100 moving average is simply no joke, right? You go up to it, you go horizontal to it, and look, I mean, we've literally tested it so many times over the last bit that it's either just ready to break and should be like glass and just crush, or it's going to be that big giant that's like really annoyed with this little fly poking it and just savagely drop it off, right? And take it to the bottom. So I don't like the way that the RSI looks. I don't like how volume looks. I know I see more little green candles, but like there's not a lot of people buying this thing anymore, right? So people literally are just waiting for this line to break and kind of have given up on it a little. I don't want to say given up on it, but just waiting. No one wants to like sit here. Again, we're not here to put our money horizontally, right? We're here to go up. That's the goal, right? So it'll all start with the break of that blue line, that 100, right? You just saw me put the alert at 91. Otherwise, we're going to lose that red line and I mean potentially drop back to the 65, 55 range, right? So, but yeah, overall, I'm sure the weekly is going to look a lot like this, right? Just starting to go horizontal, right? It is what it is. We need to break it, right? On this, it's the 20. On that, it's the 100, right? So, hey, if you've stayed this far, I sincerely appreciate your time. I hope you're learning. And yeah, we'll make more videos every day. Have a great one.